All right.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. This is the April 26, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. At the present moment, we do not have a quorum. We need a minimum of 4 commissioners to start our meeting. I've been informed that 2 of our meeting members are definitely not coming. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting in the hopes that one of the 2 remaining commissioners will be coming this evening. Nope. All right.
Great timing.
I don't know about great, but
It works.
all right, everyone. Good evening again. This is the April 26, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This open meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by dialing or by using your telephone, and the number is 408-650-3123 with access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So all supporting materials for tonight's meeting are available on the town's website. They've been provided to members of the commission, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission, and let me do a roll call of members that are going to be attending and participating in tonight's meeting. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Patrick Cunningham.
Here.
Megan Langland.
Here.
Christopher Carey.
Here.
And town officials, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jesse Averka.
Here.
Okay. And just, this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television, and if you wish to see it later. So, without further ado, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Nordic Industrial Properties LLC, a notice of intent for property at 12-14 Sword Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Sir,
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
good evening. So are you getting tired of us yet?
No. It's you?
Touche. All right, so you actually did what we requested to do. The issue was brought up, I think, of a roof drain, as I recall.
Yes.
And it
it
looks-
was two, two pipes and I guess were discovered, or noted during the sidewalk
Mhm.
within the wetlands buffer area.
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, or if I recap correctly, the last discussion was that if there was an opportunity to address those outfalls, since we're doing in light of the proposed project, in finally finding out what those outfalls are, it was noted or discovered that they're actually out of service. The owner did try to do a video inspection of it, but with no success in that there was items accumulated and noted that you couldn't really find out where it was.
Now, does any water flow in that pipe prior to the area where it becomes impassable?
Flow in that
From-
pipe, to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And I also see, and this is from Joshua Fuller, it says, it is recommended that during construction of the proposed project, the pipes be terminated and capped prior to reaching the brook. Do you concur with that assessment from Mr. Fuller?
Yes, because
Okay.
I figure, you could probably avoid any other situations, like trying to find out, like if we had known that because of how, I guess, the ownership has changed or management has changed. At this point, it's probably best to just do away with it
Mhm.
as much as we can, and that way we can sort of avoid the situation, say there's nothing in there.
Now, in order to comply with Mr. Fuller's recommendation, does there have to be a change made to the plan or not?
It would be a disturbance within the buffer area, obviously, but we can note it if that's the case and just say, that way, if you want to, I guess, record it or officialize, I guess that might be the case.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what you're referring to in the
Or I
alternate.
suppose what we could do, assuming we do issue an order of conditions, is we could actually make it one of the conditions in the order.
That makes sense.
I try to make sense at all times, sir. Okay, I'm satisfied. Are there any questions from the board? Having said that, then, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion, close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. All right. With any luck, we will render a decision this evening.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. I know you've been here probably more times than you wanted to be here, but the meeting is not closed, so we will render a decision.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate that.
All right, thank you. The next item on our agenda is a 7:05 public hearing. Crocker Design Group, a request for determination of applicability for property located at 735 Southbridge Street. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. All right, is there, Mr. Newhall, would you be here for Crocker?
Yes, my name is David Newhall with Crocker Design Group here on behalf of the applicant, Herb Chambers, Hyundai of Auburn.
Okay,
So, if you want me to share my screen, would that be easiest to walk through this?
I believe it would be. If you
All
can.
right. Make sure. I think I need to be asked or made a presenter, sorry.
Oh, great. Now, of course, I have access to it. How do we make him a presenter?
I don't know, that's a new one for me.
Okay.
Make a presenter. Look at that.
Wow, brilliant.
Getting pretty good at this job.
Perfect.
Okay, sir, you are the new presenter. Congratulations.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right,
Lovely.
so go ahead.
All right, again, so David Newhall with Crocker Design Group, here for Herb Chambers. So up on the screen shows our site plan proposal for 735 Southbridge. So here highlighted in yellow is the 100-foot buffer to the bordering vegetated wetlands. So the wetland area is along here at the toe of slope, just on the outside of the developed area. So existing on site is Hyundai dealership with associated site features, site parking. So pretty well developed within the 100-foot buffer of the bordering vegetated wetlands. We do have a limit of a zone A that falls along here. We aren't proposing any work within the zone A. There's only two areas in which work is being proposed. There's a vehicle display area along the street frontage in Southbridge, and then a formalized dumpster enclosure that is over here in an existing landscape island just off the the paved area. Existing today, the dumpsters are held just outside or along the 100-foot buffer to the bordering vegetated wetlands. So the goal of this is just to enclose the dumpster area here. This is just all part of what would be an overall project to do a remodel for the dealership. So every X amount of years, depending on the dealership, the brand comes to Herb Chambers and they have to do remodels within the showroom or along the facade to add to their new image, their new look. So depending on the brand, these can change, every 5, every 20, every 10 years. Typical range is between 8 and 10 years. So the overall project will have some interior building work as part of it. But I mean, these are the two areas that are within the buffer zone of the Conservation Commission. There's also some proposed work for, there's a retaining wall out to the top side of the screen here that is, it's 3-tiered timber wall that's just not in good working order. So we have a structural retaining wall that's going to be proposed here. And then they're looking to rework how this parking is just to make better fire access and meet today's fire code of getting through this area as well. So that's outside of the 100-foot buffer. Along the backside of the curb of the existing pavement area, we're proposing to have a continuous silt sock and silt fence. So we'll have the silt fence behind the silt sock just to have it as an extra protection, starting back where the dumpster enclosure is here, and that falls along the whole backside of the curbing area, just to make sure no sediment travels past this area. I mean, there is a curb blocking everything, so theoretically all rainwater should go to, or stormwater should go to the catch basins in which we're proposing to have silt sacks within them during the course of the work. So making sure nothing gets into the drainage system that shouldn't be. So that's kind of the extent of the proposed work. I know we came in front, it was, I don't know if that was about 6 months ago now or so, back in the fall, late summer, where they were putting in this, updating and putting in the new transformer for the building. So we requested a negative determination for that work as well. So I know the commission has been out on site within the last year for this particular site.
But I think because this is new work that's being proposed, it's always good to go out and take a look. So
Okay.
would you have any availability on Saturday this week?
Yeah, if you would like to meet on Saturday, that we can certainly make that work for you.
Okay. So what I would suggest is that we meet at Saturday. I would suggest 9 o'clock. And then with your permission, we will continue the public hearing to our next meeting, which is on May 10th. Is that agreeable to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for Herb Chambers Hyundai to May 10th at 7 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's voted. All right, Mr. Newhall, we will see you this Saturday at 9 o'clock.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. The next item on our agenda is a 710 public hearing, Land Design Collaborative, a request for determination of applicability for property at 12 Auburn Hill Road. Is there a motion open? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. All right. Is there someone here on behalf of the applicant for 12 Auburn Hill Road?
Yes, sir.
Yikes. Mr. Scott, how are you, sir?
Humbled by that introduction. I'm fine, thanks.
Very good.
I'm Mike Scott from Land Design Collaborative, and this is the applicant.
Good evening, sir.
As you may recall, we walked this site last summer, and at the time for an ORAD, or an ANRAD, you issued an ORAD sometime late summer.
I remember.
Okay, so since that time, Freddie and his wife and I have met with the town on numerous occasions to figure out how to extend the road or continue the construction of the road to create 2 building lots. On the screen, they'd be the 2 lots on the bottom of the sheet. Buffer zone on the lot to the right or east, and no jurisdiction on the lot to the west, which is the subject of this application. Long story short, could not get an agreement with the seller of the lots who retain ownership of the land at the end of the road to do stormwater work on their property, as would be necessary to continue the paving of the road. So rather than develop 2 lots, they're looking to build their own home on the first lot, number 12, street address number 12.
Okay.
Which is the lot on the left, which is not within your jurisdiction as confirmed with the ORAD. However, to connect to the sewer system, they've got to go out into the road, and there's about 10 or 15 feet of trenching required in the road. So the entirety of the work is actually shown on the next sheet,
Yeah, sure.
which is, it's in the zone. So it's in the upper left, and you can see you're barely inside the buffer zone. just a few feet. But
Right.
since it's, even though it's maintained by the sewer district and there's a sewer line and a drain line running through there, and that's actually the proximate location of the existing stub. So rather than ask the town to install another stub and stay out of your jurisdiction, we have filed this application. So there's literally several square feet of work within your jurisdiction. Now, if they were to come back for a second lot, which would entail extending the road, that would be a whole nother matter. And we had prepared plans, calculations, everything was set to file for that, and they could not get the they did not get cooperation from their neighbor, so we stopped at that point.
Okay.
So this design, as I say, the driveway is just gonna come off the end of the paved road. It's a single-family house outside the buffer. That little bit of work is in the upper left part of the plan,
Understood. Has there been any clearing there yet?
not on the lot, right?
No. Okay.
Just what's in the right-of-way is maintained occasionally by the sewer folks, and they did camera it recently, but I don't know that they actually, I mean, we saw it last fall. I haven't been out there since then.
Okay. All right.
So we show the perimeter erosion buffer, even though it's outside your zone, outside your jurisdiction.
I
Just as a
understand.
good practice. And it's a walkout and back, so the grading is actually pretty minor. The foundation hole will probably be used to fill the front yard.
Okay.
But any excess material or import would obviously come and go by the road, which is to the bottom of the sheet, so. And it's public water and public sewer.
Okay. I still think we need to take a look. I hear what you're saying, and especially heard the phrase "out of your jurisdiction" probably about a dozen times. So I tend to agree with you, but I still would like to take a look.
Sure.
Is this something we can do Saturday around 9:30?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I imagine we'll be out there for 5 minutes or so.
Since most of it's out of your jurisdiction.
So you've said. So.
A few times, I understand.
Up.
9:30 on Saturday, yep, I look forward to it.
Okay, now, all right, before we do anything, I believe we have some public comment from the back. Can you identify yourself, please, sir?
Craig Boyle, I live at 10 Auburndale Road.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Mr. Boyle?
Yeah, just as a layman, I missed all of that.
Okay.
So I know how the sewer runs down the street through the proposed street, but I'm not sure what the issue is.
Well, the question is whether or not we have jurisdiction for purposes of issuing or requiring a notice of intent to be filed, from which would be an order of conditions for this particular project. Mr. Scott has repeated on a number of occasions that, in fact, we don't have jurisdiction, or if we have jurisdiction, it's for a very minimal amount for the project, and that's has to relate with, I guess, the tie-in on the road. So what I'm suggesting is we would go out there just to take a look. As I recall, Mr. Boyle, you actually walked the site with us last summer?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Glad we didn't pick up any ticks that day. So, so again, if that's agreeable to you, we'll take a look on Saturday at 9:30.
Yep.
And
So I have another question too. It
Sure.
was 35 years ago when they built my house.
okay, so sir.
There's no any houses around and no street.
Okay, so
When they built,
sir, first of all,
oh,
I need your name and I need your address, please.
so it's Bruce Brown, it's 20 Old Farm Road. So it's house before.
Okay.
So what has happened? So they told me is we never build any house in this area. First thing, this is wet area, and this is too many pipes, and it's going gas pipes, and all drainage and sewage pipes going to. They few years ago they put huge drainage well where there's a building middle. So right now who be fix it and anything like this going when they be added more houses over here.
Well,
So this basically what I see in plans, the street be going straight over this new wells, new pipes, anything what is installed.
well, okay, so let's back up a bit. I want to take your first statement where you said no, there was, you said that someone represented that there would never be any
Yes.
additional.
In plans, there's no street is up here. My house is first built. So
Okay,
they still going after and all this, and they told me in all plans I see, there's nothing be built in this area.
Well, I'm not familiar with those plans, number one. Secondly, I'd like to know who made that determination.
Oh, this is 37 years ago, so
Well-
I have to be saying something who.
Well, sir, I don't know, and I take your point,
I
though.
know one of this is Newton.
I'm sorry?
Newton.
Oh, the,
Yeah, he working in town hall, and he is related, he working for town. I think it's a Paul Newton or something like this.
He was the original real estate agent for the entire development.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're basically saying that this applicant has no legal right to build.
I don't say he have legal, because I'm not make up, somebody can sell this lot. So now, I don't know who make approval to selling this land. For many years, this land is not touching, and just last year, 4 or 5 company come in, they try and find out pipes, what is, they can find it, they come in so many companies, they going through end of the street, they try and find out pipes, because they don't have in the plans, anything like this. So all mess, just in seconds, everything is cut, is done, clean, we find out now, okay, somebody sell or buy a lot and they won't build houses. So still is question what happened with this finding pipes. 2 years ago, we found that there's some not existing, not used gas pipes under the pipes, so they come in and digging and closing, because what, we're living in a bomb, so after this plenty years, somebody found that we have gas lines, not use it. So there's a whole mess going around this corner. So I try and find out more information, well, how is going this, who be take care of this and everything, because we're living in swamp, because nobody care from town. Few years ago, they extending, they cut street, they supposed to put drainage line, after coming heavy rain, they're washing out everything what they built, and everything going downhill for this roads what they were talking right now. So what happened now? Just be empty street, just be flashing out everything.
Well, okay, first of all, to that point, that seems to me that's a DPW issue and not necessarily a Conservation Commission issue. But I'm representing to you, sir, that this, what you're telling me about an inability to build on that property is news to us. And I don't know who's the source of the information. I have to believe that this gentleman who purchased the property obviously believed he could buy it. I'm not aware of any prohibition on his ability to build on the property. So what I'm suggesting to you is that it would take, I think, more research on the whole issue. Okay? So again, this is the first time any of us are hearing about this. To your point about, this property not being built for many, many years,
Yes.
I've been on this commission for almost 30 years. And I will
So
tell.
we're very close, because this is 35
Well,
years.
sir,
37.
whatever you're talking about occurred before my time here. The point I was trying to make is that when I first started, and then probably the 5 to 10 years afterwards, we got these big building projects, these big subdivisions. The reality is that the amount of buildable land in Auburn is shrinking, and so lots that maybe were not as desirable because the cost to develop them would be high. That's not really an option anymore, because the amount of buildable land in Auburn has shrunk substantially for whatever reason. Okay, so what we're going to continue this hearing, the public hearing, until May 10th. In the meantime, I will make inquiries or try to find out some information on the issues that you discussed, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garland, hi. Cheryl Capina, Tom Capina. We're at 23 Old Farm Road.
Hi.
So we're actually right across from the Boyles.
Okay.
So similar, when we purchased the house 28 years ago, our real estate agent told us nobody can build behind us, which is true. Right behind us definitely is deemed wetlands. Nobody can build.
Right.
So, kind of in conjunction with what Bruce is saying, but, and I know your conservation has different than, I'm sure we have to probably talk to other planning boards and things like that, but I think someone needs to know exactly the reality of what happens in that area on a daily basis. The water that comes down there, the sinkholes that we have,
Where are the sinkholes?
so we have a sinkhole right at our drain, there's a sinkhole in Craig's yard, there's a sinkhole in the other neighbor's yard, there's so many sinkholes. We've called DPW, they come and they fill it with some sand, they don't actually fix
And
it.
do they reoccur?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So again, not your not your jurisdiction, totally understand that. So I guess I'm just trying to understand from the conservation standpoint, you know, you guys worry about the wetlands, so will we, because any work that's done over there is obviously gonna disturb any other water that's what we already have in our yard. So I'm concerned with that, but I was just curious, after this hearing, what is that next step with, like, is there planning boards, like, what actually happens? Like, just because you say, yes, it's okay, it's not okay.
Well, it's not,
Is it-
it's not necessarily a question of, yes, it's okay, it's a question of whether or not we have jurisdiction to regulate this. Okay, and so we have, our jurisdiction is set by the Wetlands Protection Act, we have town bylaws, and we also have regulations here too. And so, we, by basically using those laws, reviewing those laws and applying them to this project, we make a determination whether or not we do have jurisdiction. If we don't have jurisdiction, we don't have jurisdiction, and that's the reality of it. That's why I want to take a look. I will tell you that further, when we walked the property last summer, and as you get farther back on that lot, there are definitely wetlands, and I think that would have an impact on any further development. What I think Mr. Scott's proposing is just a very limited, is the single-family lot, that would be an extension of Auburn Hill Road. That's where we want to take a look. And, you know, to the extent that, I mean, if a real estate agent made a representation to you that there'd be no building there, I'd like to know where he got his information from.
Yeah, and I wish I had that in writing from
And
28 years ago.
And
for
you've been there
sure.
for 28 years, so I think the statute of limitations has kind of run out on that one.
Right.
So,
And, you know, just like the road itself, like, ends, I have to do a driveway, so there is no road.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to understand is, how does one then, what do they do to be able to go further with that, so there is some type of a road, that there is a house there that, like, it just seems like an odd place to be able to just throw a house, you know what I'm saying, without truly making
Well, I
road
think,
and.
Mr. Scott, can you respond, please?
Well, I'll tell you what we've been through for the past 6 months, and as quickly as I can, because I want to watch the Bruins tonight.
Yeah, please.
No, because
I'm
that's
gonna-
way more important than us, so, go ahead.
I didn't say that, but, so we originally walked this, we then met with the DCG here, probably 4 or 5 months ago.
What's the DCG?
Sorry, your design coordination group, which is, well, we're not there yet, but planning and water, I think police had a rep, but I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
Fire was here, engineering, I think had a rep, or DPW, not engineering. And there was discussion, the intent was to extend the road. So if you go back a sheet, maybe,
Yeah, sure.
to the original, actually the existing conditions, which I think is the first, yeah, that sheet.
Up here.
The intent was to continue the road to the cul-de-sac. These folks bought 3 lots, the 2 on the bottom of the sheet, and then the third you can't see, which is behind your home. Though the one to the north is entirely wet, that was determined during the ANRAD. So the goal was to extend the pavement, continue the pavement, put a turnaround in. So we went to the DCG, we talked about that with them. They required a 100-foot circle, which is greater than the existing right-of-way, because the right-of-way was done prior to your current subdivision regulations.
Right.
So the road they were requiring would not fit. So when I mentioned that the applicants went to the neighbor who sold to them, who were the original subdividers, Gurwitz and Goldstein, whose name has changed, but they held these 3 lots plus the land to the east, adjoining the, and I don't know the apartment complex that's in Worcester, but the multifamily.
What is it?
Autumn Woods.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
so they adjoin Autumn Woods. There's a piece of property that goes all the way out to Upland Street, and it adjoins Autumn Woods.
Right.
The applicants approached them because they needed an easement on their property to put stormwater drainage and to pave the cul-de-sac bulb in order to create an accessible road or an access to the second lot, consistent with what both DPW wanted for snow plowing and what fire wanted for emergency access. And we designed a stormwater system which would have required relief from your 25-foot
No
no
build.
disturb, but we had no impingement into the wetland. And when they couldn't get the agreement, they couldn't get signatures and easements, we scaled it back to a single-family house lot, which these folks talked about with Mr. Coyle prior to purchasing the land. His opinion at the time, I'm sorry, not Mr. Coyle, your building commissioner.
Caleb, Mr. Moody.
Mr. Moody.
Yep.
Prior to purchase, that these were buildable lots, they were pre-existing, non-conforming if the zoning has changed. There's a right-of-way, it's a public way, it was not, as I understand it, accepted beyond the pavement. That as long as the pavement was, or the road was improved across the frontage to the extent or deemed appropriate by your public officials, which as I described is the continuation of the 24-foot road, but with a large turnaround. He would grant building permits with your approval, which obviously would have meant a notice of intent for all that work, for the road plus the houses. So we had that all prepared, we didn't file it.
And you don't need planning board approval for this way.
So what we were told was, obviously at that point, we may have to go to the planning board, but the recommendation was gonna be the planning board from staff that it was an acceptable road, again, provided you would have approved the stormwater, which, well, we won't find out probably, but, for a single-family lot here, these folks actually own to the center of the road. They can put a driveway on that side of the road to get into the property. That's the proposal in front of you that they will take to the building department after this. As I understand it, they would not require any planning board relief. There's a question about whether there was ever any covenant or other mechanism that the town would have to release these two lots, but it's not clear that they would have ever been held in any way
Well,
in 30 years ago.
if there's a covenant, there has to, and there has to be a recorded document, there has to be an instrument recorded at the registry of deeds,
Haven't found anything. They haven't had title work done prior to purchase,
and nothing comes up.
and Mr. Moody has deemed that these are buildable.
And even for the original 3 lots, there's nothing, no reference to any
They were
covenants.
never deeded out, they were held, no. They were held, that land was remaining land of the subdivider, they were never deeded out.
Okay.
So they've now been deeded out to the applicants,
Understood.
and they retained the larger piece to the east.
Okay. Well, I think obviously there's some questions this evening, and we don't have the answers, so we're gonna have to do some homework. In any event, we are gonna continue the public hearing to May 10th at 7:10,
That would be 7:10, yes.
and we will see you at 9:30 on Saturday.
Mr.
And-
Garland,
yes.
is there, so we're not gonna be around, and this is very important to us.
Right.
Are we able to push that out to the, would a decision be made that night, or,
Oh, so you're saying that you're not gonna be here at the meeting on May 10th?
yeah,
That would be up to the applicant, in all honesty. I mean, they're the moving party here. If you have access to a computer while you're away, then you could join in by Zoom. But if you're on a tropical island somewhere, you probably don't want to do that. So I get that too. All right, so in any event, is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 12 Auburn Road to May 10th at 7:10 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
To her point, and really just for my own personal education, if we either decide that this is not in our jurisdiction and issue a negative determination,
Mhm.
what is the next phase? What is the next
Our role,
stage that our role is done?
our role is done.
Okay.
Our role is done.
Can you say anything beyond that?
I cannot.
Okay.
No, no, I mean, I take jurisdiction very seriously. Either we have it or we don't. It's not a gray area, really.
No, I was just curious, like, in terms of the whole process with how things work in the town in terms of approving different projects, what,
I think that's kind of above my pay grade,
okay,
unfortunately.
all right.
So I have ideas, but, so,
So
anyway.
I have a question.
No,
So
sir,
basically
sir.
now we're talking about one family house when they be built. After they get permits, so
I'm sorry,
nobody be care what happened with another 2 lots, yeah?
I'm sorry, sir, what's the question?
So we're talking now, right now is 2 points, so just going for their lot, for their one to build house. The first lot was mostly looking much better like another. But after this, what I understand is, we be take care, there's be everything done, and they be built houses, there's another 2 lots, yeah?
Sir, my understanding is that this is an application for a single-family home. There's nothing in this proposal relating to any building of any other lots, okay? I know from our site walk that there are 3 lots. One of the lots, sir, cannot be built on because there are wetlands there. It's not buildable. The second lot, my understanding from what Mr. Scott had to say, basically, the cost to build it, I think, is prohibitive, and so that's why the applicant's only going with the proposal for the single-family home. Okay? And are there any other questions? Okay, so there's a motion to continue the public hearing to May 10th at 7:10 PM, and there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Opposed? It's a vote. All right.
See you Saturday.
All right, see you Saturday at 9:30, Mr. Scott. Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
And then the next meeting, I just,
Thank you.
the same situation, right? Just make the point that, you know, the part that's in question, they're requesting our assistance, or if they need to ask us of permission, they're not asking us currently today if they can build a house. They're asking us if the existing sewer lateral partially within the outer of 10 feet, a 100-foot buffer zone, vegetated wetland, falls within our jurisdiction. This is the only question that's being asked today.
That's correct.
And would be answered at the next meeting, so it's not, this is not the end all be all. But anyways, I didn't want to just jump into that. It was just, that's the only thing that is in question today, so, yes.
So, you,
It's fair.
yes, you're absolutely right, sir.
Fair points.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. Okay. The next item on our hearing is a 7:15 public hearing, excuse me. BSC Group, a notice of intent for property at 369 Southbridge Street. Is there a motion open?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote? Well, sir, you're the last one standing, or sitting as the case may be. So once,
come aboard?
indeed, granted.
Thanks. My name is Matt Byrne. I'm a senior ecologist with PSC Group. And happy to be with you tonight. Happy you got a quorum.
Me too.
I have a quick PowerPoint that might walk us through it, if that's useful, or I also printed it out if that's easier. I can give you copies.
We link audio visuals.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to.
Put it in here.
Oh, that works.
The miracle of technology.
Yeah, I know, right?
It is amazing.
I will take a paper copy if you have.
Sure. I made a map that I think is useful for the discussion that I didn't have at the time of the application. So I'll thank you for those.
All right, how am I gonna
One more for
Yeah, that's
Mike, I
what
think, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
how do I get this bad boy in?
That's what I'm wondering, because I only.
What do you think? Nope.
Is there some option for you to share your screen using that somehow? I mean, I can do that, but then I think it's just gonna show.
So, up. Okay, great. Now what?
Ah, nice.
Okay, that's a start. Now what do I do?
If you go, it should pop up if you open the files in the bottom left. I think that's usually where USBs will pop up.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Does that show up as one?
Sure.
Stow and go to the right.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the applicant for this project is the town, DPW.
Oh, no, I don't want to leave the meeting. Stop. Okay. I'm just trying, all right, sure. I guess I'm controlling this, right?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
If you go to the next slide, gives the overview of the project goals, to the extent that you can see them.
Yeah. Hold on.
You can maximize if,
Well, the problem is I'm blocked here.
yeah.
You see that? Please. So, I mean, I have some confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Does it work?
Yeah, it's a little better.
There we go.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, now what?
So if you advance
Space
Just a-
page down, or
or right?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yay.
So improved public access is the ultimate goal and safety for pedestrians around Auburn Pond. This kind of builds off of the work that was done on Auburn Street and Brotherton Way. It keeps escaping me. This will include new walking path, paved walking path, connecting the library property to Goddard Park, including a new footbridge over Ramshorn Brook, exiting north out of Auburn Pond. There will be improvements to the fountain and monument at Goddard, with lighting improvements and some new bench. And then I think most importantly for wetland resources here is significant improvements to stormwater management coming off of the library parking lot and the fire department parking lot.
Okay.
So I suspect you all know Auburn Pond. Just by way of giving context here, we're talking about the north side of Auburn Pond, from the library over to the Goddard Park on the east. So what's up next is this sheet that I just handed out, this map. And this is just, in March of 2022, we did a resource area delineation on the site. And this map just kind of pairs it back to the resource areas of the project site. Little bit difficult to see, but you can see kind of a pale blue wash over the entire site. That is FEMA floodplain, 100-year floodplain. The dark blue dots represent bank flags that we've hung at the edge of the water, at the mean annual high water of both the pond and the stream, leaving northward out above the spillway. The very small amount of bordering vegetated wetland in pale green, just as on the west side of the pond, and then also on the margin of the east side of the pond. There is, of course, land underwater and bank. And then we have the local 25-foot, local 50, and state 100-foot buffers, and then riverfront area associated with Ramshorn, which I don't know locally if that's done. Dunbrook.
I'm not sure either.
We had conflict in all the mapping resources, so anyway, there's riverfront area too, covering most of the property. If you're familiar with the existing conditions, these first two photographs are from the parking lot at the library, one looking westward toward Darkbrook from the pavement, and then the second one on the right, 180 degrees looking at Auburn Pond. Go to the next one. Down on the left, we're down behind the library, looking northward toward Route 12, and then the spillway itself that creates Auburn Pond. Go ahead. And you probably are aware that the bank of Ramshorn Brook is armored for about 50 feet with riprap downstream. Very steep, very distinct bank, and not a heck of a lot of vegetation. But as we move toward Route 12, which that second photo on the right is standing on Route 12 looking back at the spillway, there is some vegetation, trees and shrubs. And then on the Goddard Park side of the project, same kind of scenario. Mown lawn, very steep bank down to Auburn Pond, very little natural vegetation present. So this was in your packet, and this is just our engineer's view of the world. The dark black dashed line is the limit of work for the project. It includes a repave, reconfiguration, and restriping of the library parking lot, a proposed footbridge over Ramshorn, work in Goddard Park, and then a connection out to Auburn Street. And here is our environmental resources map showing the proposed paved footpath on the library side and the reconfigured, slightly reduced to the greatest extent possible, the parking area. And then the next page will show that we're reducing the parking again to the greatest extent possible. We're removing the dumpsters from the 50-foot buffer zone and putting them into a screened container. And then we're going to be treating the stormwater that comes off of that parking lot, which is currently entirely untreated. And then what we have is work in BLSF, but the paving that we're doing, we're proposing no grade changes within BLSF, so there's zero effect of the relative to the stormwater, the water capacity of BLSF. You've seen the pictures of the site. I'm sure you know it. There is no significant wildlife habitat in BLSF. I've also provided you a wildlife habitat evaluation per your requirements. And the work in the riverfront area is eligible to be permitted as a limited project at 310 CMR 1053-6. So that allows for the development of paved footpaths and bikeways and so forth with a public benefit. We would, of course, require the local 25-foot requirement to be waived in order to accomplish this. And the reason for that on this side of the project is that the library has certain requirements for parking, and we could nudge them a certain amount away from the pond, but only a certain amount. So we nudged them as much as we could, and then fit the 8-foot wide walking path. The next slide will show the proposed work, including the footbridge over Ramshorn and new paved path through Goddard Park and connecting out to Auburn Street by the fire department. And if you go forward, you see our engineering view. Again, we're going to be treating stormwater coming off of the fire department parking lot that is currently entirely untreated. There will be, as I mentioned, monument, fountain, lighting, and seating upgrades to the park itself. And then the addition of an accessible parking lot, parking space out at Auburn Street. Here again, if you go to the next one, we are working in BLSF, but are having no grade changes, so no impact on the flood storage capacity. Similar to the other side, there's no significant wildlife habitat, and the same requirements. We'd need a waiver of the 25-foot, but for a much smaller sliver on this side, and also the work in riverfront area would be eligible as a limited project. Next, we have a design view of the footbridge. This is going to be built off-site and lowered by crane onto footings that are built. Those are, at this point, not designed. They would be designed by the contractor that is going to do the install. There's, on the library side, the footing would be placed well up over the break and slope on top of that terrace, but within the 25-foot. On the other side, it would be outside of the 25-foot.
Okay.
That the footbridge itself is eligible to be permitted as a limited project as well, independent of the riverfront area. And that's at 310 CMR 1053 3J.
Okay.
Okay. Just the last couple of slides shows current conditions with stormwater management, or lack of. This is the library side. There's just a paved swale that collects water and dumps it into the pond. And same thing over at the fire department parcel.
One more?
Yeah. And all that would be improved with catch basins and storm scepter deep sumps to really do some real improvement of the water coming off of both of those facilities.
Who's paying for this?
The town,
Okay,
I believe there are federal funds, but I'm not 100% certain of that.
okay. Well, I think we're all familiar with that area. It looks like a substantial improvement. It looks like just a terrific project to improve that whole area. So, so since you were lucky enough to be here for our previous applicants, we like to take a look.
Yeah.
I don't, and I would also imagine this project may take more than 1 or 2 meetings to get through our process, but would you be available for a site walk this Saturday?
I personally am not, but I will bring this back to the project engineer, Bill
Okay.
Haley.
Okay.
And I'll tentatively say yes and get back to you either this evening or first thing in the morning.
So you can
Yeah, you can just let
contact
me know
Jesse.
and, set it up from there.
Great.
It works out.
Okay.
Assuming that he is available, why don't we put this down for 10 o'clock on Saturday, which is the
Okay.
29th? And I presume we have your permission to continue the public hearing to May 10th at 7:15?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect, please?
I have some questions. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
before we continue it, you were first, Catherine, so go ahead.
So my two questions is one, with the existing areas of wetland vegetation, do you have plans for restorative planting?
There is no current wetland vegetation in the work area. The BVW, we
Am
avoid
I looking at this from the green highlighted areas or the vegetated areas?
Yep,
correct?
that's BVW, but we stay away from
Oh,
that.
I see, you're outside.
Yep.
Okay,
But there will be a verge between the edge of the path and the bank flags, and I think there's opportunity there for
Yeah.
native plantings.
and my other question was, you'd mentioned that a crane would be needed to bring the bridge in,
Right.
and how would you plan to bring the crane in, that sort of?
My expectation would be either from Route 12 or from the fire department parking lot. I would bet fire department parking lot. And, my understanding is that it's a pretty simple kind of up and plop it over.
They're huge, by the way. The cranes.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
It would be,
telescoping arm could reach over there.
yeah. That's definitely a question for Bill. And I'm happy to bring an answer back or just tell Bill to come to the next meeting. I think
Okay.
that'd probably be useful.
Okay.
So,
My questions, thank you.
Megan, anything else?
Yeah, I guess basically my questions were about, the intent for any creation of, say now there is no habitat wildlife area, actually creating some in these areas is really important to me. With native plantings. Also, there's this attachment G where you were talking about the wildlife habitat evaluation. Where is
Yeah.
that? Because I get to the end and the last I see attachment F.
did I screw up and not send it to you? It's quite possible. I prepared it. I can forward that to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Actually, I'm in the field tomorrow. It might be at the end of the day, but I'll get it to.
Yeah. Would it have been in the other? Because I know there were multiple binders that you sent.
This one's the stormwater.
Oh, that's just a
report.
stormwater. Yeah.
And then there's all these things, but I don't think these are that.
The electronic version hopefully had it. The printed version came out of the office and I didn't touch
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
so I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Yeah, I don't
So
think we
it's
have it.
possible it was attached to the electronic, but I'll definitely
I
get a
can
copy.
look
Okay.
quick. I've already got this open. What was the last one in the paper one? Was it F?
G.
The last one in the paper one was
Yeah.
F, but there should have been a G.
So there's that's right there. Right.
That looks like the stormwater.
Oh yeah, it might just go straight into that. I don't know. I mean, I can have a closer look. Yeah, and then it goes into.
So keep going.
Uh huh.
There. I just saw it.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
I mean,
Nice.
honestly, it was a blank sheet. You know, the
Okay.
Uh huh.
the wildlife habitat evaluation is a checklist,
Right.
Okay.
and there wasn't anything.
And that's
and-
just within the, what areas is that you're actually looking at to
That
determine that?
that was the what did I do that for? The buffer zone. That's yeah, I do the entirety of the site. The only issue I'd take with that is that there is vegetation along the Ramshorn Brook that we're barely touching. You know, we're going to be working just in that narrow footings where the bridge is going to be. But otherwise, I'm sure you know the site. It's all maintained vegetation or grass, or it's pavement or buildings.
Okay.
Would there be an opportunity to change some of like the manicured lawn to native wetland plantings?
I think that's certainly something that we should put on the table. Yeah. I think that there's some good opportunity there. I know the library is planning expansion. I haven't seen what that is, but it would go into the east side of the building, as I understand.
We had a plan, probably 15 years ago. And I think we approved it and it went nowhere because I'm sure they didn't have the money.
Okay.
So we'll see what this plan looks like.
Yeah. So, I think we need to take that into consideration, what the plan is for that they have for expansion. But then, that all that area is riverfront, and everything from Route 12 down to the front of the library, I think would have opportunity. There's a real thin verge being left between the proposed trail and the pond itself, and if it's steep and but there's opportunity to plant things there, and then I think on the margin of the pond on the Goddard side, there's probably opportunity as well.
Okay.
So I think that as we go forward, we can kind of dig into where the footprint of that improvement could be relative to all the things that are trying to happen here.
And I think by going out there, we can, see for ourselves where we think there can be some well and upgrades.
Yeah, it seems like we don't have too often projects from the town coming before us that we can really have that like direct impact on. So, I mean, I'd really like to see that.
I think it's a great idea.
And I think there's a lot of useful space with the manicured lawn to be made into wetland vegetation.
Terrific.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I think I asked for a motion to continue. I think there was a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed to vote. All right, so that would be on May 10th at 7:15, I believe, right?
My mistake. I believe that actually. So the 12 Auburn Hill Road will be the 7:05, and that would be the 7:10.
Okay, I've got 7:35 at 7, 12 Auburn Hill Road at 7:10. Would this be 7:15?
No, I believe this would be. So don't we have 7:35 Southbridge would be the 7 since we closed the
Right.
Sword Street.
Right. 12 Auburn would be 7:10.
Wouldn't it be 7:05?
It could be 7:05.
I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. I've just been doing them in the 5-minute increments.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. And so actually then, okay, so the notice of intent for 369 would be at 7:10. Thank you. Okay, and we will be out there, assuming Mr. Healy can participate at 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Great. and I will get back to Jesse on that as soon as I get an answer from Bill.
Okay.
Great.
I'm gonna leave those with you since I don't need to take
that's
them.
totally fine.
And
Yeah,
I
good
appreciate your
hands.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Sure. And I'll take
Yeah.
that memory stick if you don't mind.
If you insist. There.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Sure, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Getting out of that in a minute. Okay. So which one is our 9 o'clock for Saturday?
That would be the 735 South Bridge.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, for 1 second. So, we got a letter from Comprehensive Environmental Incorporated. Talking about the water district obtaining an order of conditions for an interconnection with the city of Worcester back on July 1st of 2020. It is scheduled to expire on June 30th of 2023, and they are looking for an extension. I think you all have copies of the letter in your packets. And they are looking to extend for 3 years. Jesse?
Yes, I believe 3 years.
It does
right?
say that.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Well, just as a comment,
You might have some knowledge.
I work for the city of Worcester Water Department, and I was the one that was on this project. So
Yes,
this
okay.
is, I met several years ago
Uh-huh.
with a gentleman in order to
Okay, so
kickstart this off. So
you can attest to its accuracy then.
very much so. Yeah.
All right. So in that case then, do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to extend the order conditions
For
for
3
3
years.
years.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Okay. And then, at 8 o'clock, we have some meeting minutes. Does anyone have the intestinal fortitude to do some of these? Okay.
I believe the names are spelled correctly finally. I hope so, anyways.
Yeah, we also
Not,
have
please
vote
let me know.
for Nordic.
So, what's that? Oh,
We
yeah.
also have Nordic.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So before we do the fun meeting minutes, why don't we do the order of conditions for 12-14 Stewart Street? So is there a motion?
I made a motion to issue a standard order conditions plus the following special conditions to 12-14 through 14 Sword Street.
Okay.
Special conditions being 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
Okay, now as I recall, didn't they request that they need a waiver for 14?
They do require a waiver for
Okay.
the cap pipes, which will also be brought up.
Okay.
But, so 14,
Okay.
as well, specifically in reference to capping abandoned pipe infrastructure
Okay.
within the buffer zone.
Very good. Yeah. And you can even, as referred to in Joshua Fuller's letter of April 11 of 2023. Okay, so we have, the motion is standard order of conditions plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, 13, and 14 with respect to the capping of pipes that are no longer in use. And as referenced in the letter of April 11, 2023 to the Conservation Commission by Joshua Fuller of Nordic Industrial Properties LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. Okay. Let's get that closed.
So just to be clear, that waiver was granted for the, so I remember he'd asked for the waiver for the work within the no build zone, that was just granted.
Okay, good.
Okay,
All right.
I'm just making sure I understand what's going on.
Yes, that's exactly right.
All right,
Then-
great.
All right, so for the meeting minutes of March 9th of 2022. So there are three of us. There were 5 members that evening. There were actually there were 6 members of us that
I'll be
evening.
right. I'll be right there.
Or maybe this says that I wasn't there on March 9th. You're right. Okay, so
Thank God.
well, wait. So actually, we don't have a quorum to act on the meeting minutes of March 9th of 2022. I forget where I was, but I wasn't there. So there are only 2 of you present. So that's going to have to wait. The meeting minutes of April 13th.
1, 2, 6 people there,
So
4 of us. We can do this one.
we can do the meeting minutes for April 13th. I have no additions or changes to the meeting minutes for April 13 of 2022.
Make a motion that the minutes for April 13th are accepted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, on the meeting for April 27th, there were 4 members, but there are 3 of us present, so we can vote on the meeting minutes for April 27th.
Wait,
Wait, sorry,
3.
April 27th. Didn't we have 4 of us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
There were 4 of us, but there are 3 of us here, so there's a majority of people.
Oh, sorry. I
all
thought
that
you
were
said you
present
could.
in the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
sorry.
what I'm saying.
I second a lot of motions.
It's a good thing.
Keep moving.
For the meeting minutes of April 27th, there's a typo. Attorney Todd Broder's name, it will be on page 3. It's near the top. Broder spelled Brodeur.
Okay, under determinations, I just want to make sure I understand the wording of this. So,
Okay, what page? Page 4?
yes, for the 710
Mhm.
applicant, so there, okay, so Tom made a motion to issue a negative determination,
Right.
voted in favor 3-1. I voted no. It says there is not a majority to approve the motion.
Correct, and the motion did not pass. I'm assuming it was taken up again at our next meeting, but I haven't gotten that far.
Wait, if we voted in favor, wouldn't it pass? 3-1?
No, because it wasn't, at that time, I think there were 7 of us, I think, on the board at the time, and so it would have to be a simple majority of 4. So even though it was a majority of the people who were attending the meeting, it wasn't a majority of the board, and that's why I think it did not pass.
Oh, okay.
That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. All right.
And we did continue it to May 11th, I think, because we were short people.
Okay.
Okay? Aside from the change to Attorney Broder's name, I have no other changes. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the April 27th meeting minutes with the change of Mr. Brothers last week.
Okay, good. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Well, yeah, because you were here. Okay, it's a vote, it's passed. And then finally, the last meeting minutes we have for tonight are the meeting minutes from May 11th. So we had 2, 3, 4. So there were 4 of us out of 6, so we can vote on these. Yeah, Mr. Benvenue did return at 7 o'clock. I have no changes to these meeting minutes. Does anyone else?
Make a motion, we accept the May 11th meeting minutes as is.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed to vote. All right. Is there any new business?
I will mention quickly, today I got word from, that Z126 Skywrap project that we, just the notification letter that we got last week.
Right.
So they were going just to scout that out. They're starting the work in June. And Eastland Partners had, prior, they had done that work at 50 Washington. And they sent in an email today saying that there are some environmental concerns going on there regarding wetlands. Nothing too specific, but tomorrow I'm going to go out and meet with people from Grid and Eastland. So,
Okay, so who actually sent you the?
it was
sent the
National
notice?
Grid.
It was.
And, yeah.
That's the area that they cleared without giving us prior.
Yes, exactly.
Right up
Yeah.
against.
Well, it's unclear too because
They
they.
didn't have to.
Yeah, no, well, I don't think that's what they were. I don't know. I'll figure out what's going on tomorrow. This was an email that came in the afternoon.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Is this those 2 big lots on Washington?
I
This
believe
is
so,
or-
yeah. The
this is
50 and
lot
1 or
closer
190.
to like the Thai restaurant going more towards Worcester.
Towards there's a
And
Is
community
it-
that we
and
met
it-
with before.
That's right, and
Is
that's
it
right
like
up the
that
back.
really big lot development that we've been out to a few times?
It's
for-
actually down. It's the. I can't speak.
no,
The
it's
clearing is down about an eighth of a mile, or maybe no more than a
To the
quarter.
right of where we were pulling in.
Yeah, to the right.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's on
thank
the
you.
same side, and the whole area
Gotcha,
was
thank
cleared
you.
out.
Yeah.
So
National Grid is contacting us for environmental.
I know.
It gives me great
Yeah.
pause.
Well, there might be some other factors in play, but we'll see tomorrow.
we did
Yeah.
take a look, and so let's figure out or see what their areas of concern are, and if Eastland needs to do something, then we'll ask them to do it.
Please don't be beavers. Please don't be beavers. Please.
Hey, beavers gotta live somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right. If there is no other new business, is there a motion to close?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. I hope to see some of you on Saturday at 9 o'clock.